All right, let's play a game. Just for a second, I want you to imagine. What if you woke up tomorrow and you were suddenly unbelievably rich?
Maybe one of your crypto investments finally moons, or that little side hustle you've got suddenly takes off. Maybe a long-lost uncle leaves you a fortune, or, hey, you hit the lottery jackpot. And seriously, odds are, for at least one or two of you listening, that could actually happen. So, what's the next step?
I know what you're thinking. Financial freedom, right? Maybe a new car, helping out your friends and family. That's the dream. But the reality? The reality for most people can be a straight-up nightmare. We're talking lost friendships, bitter family fights, addiction, divorce, a whole mess. That beautiful dream can turn sour, and I mean fast.
So, to really get a picture of how wrong this can go, let me tell you a story. It's a classic cautionary tale about a guy who won everything and then lost even more.
His name was Jack Whittaker. Back in 2002, this guy hit the jackpot in a way most of us can only dream about. I'm talking a $315 million Powerball win. At the time, that was the biggest single-ticket prize ever. The dream, right? It had finally arrived.
But yeah, that dream, it completely imploded. Years down the line, Jack said something about his big win that is just absolutely chilling. It tells you everything you need to know about how wrong things went.
See, Jack didn't keep it a secret. Not at all. He told everybody. And he was a super generous guy. He was handing out money to strangers, donating millions, buying houses and cars for his buddies. But all that fame, all that generosity, it backfired. It became a curse. His marriage fell apart, his friends vanished, and his family went through absolute tragedy. It's like his own kindness was used as a weapon against him.
So, the big question is, how do you avoid becoming another Jack Whittaker? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. Think of this as your survival blueprint. First, we'll cover rule number 1, be a ghost. Then, we'll get into managing your life and your money. After that, we'll talk about the golden rule for staying rich. And finally, we'll even build a sample portfolio to make that wealth last a lifetime.
All right, let's jump right in. This is, without a doubt, the single most important rule for your financial survival. And it's simple. Absolute, total silence. Your first move is to become a ghost. Look, the second people find out you have money, a giant target gets painted on your back. You will be buried in bogus lawsuits, awful business pitches, and just plain old scams. But what's even harder is that the people you love might change. Suddenly, friends and family might start acting like they're entitled to a slice of the pie. You know that saying, money doesn't change people, it just reveals them? It is 100% true. Silence isn't just a good idea, it's your only shield.
Okay, so there is one exception, one person you tell, and that's a good estate planning lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a specialist. They're the ones who can help you set up all the boring but crucial stuff, like a trust, to protect your identity, minimize your tax hit, and lock down your assets, all before a single soul knows you've got them.
Okay, so you're a ghost. You've got a great lawyer. Now what? The next phase, let's call it the first 6 months, is all about managing your life, not just your money. The goal here for at least 6 months is to change almost nothing. Seriously, just give yourself time to breathe and adjust. Now, if you hate your job, oh yeah, quit, for sure. But don't just stop working completely. Find something you actually enjoy doing. You want to know why? Because being rich and bored, that is a recipe for disaster. It leads to something I call boredom investing. Suddenly thinking it's a great idea to buy a restaurant when you don't know the first thing about it. And the last thing on your to-do list? Go to war with any high-interest debt you have.
Think of high-interest debt, especially credit card debt, as a hole in your brand new boat. With interest rates at 20, 25, even 30%, you are guaranteed to lose money. Let me put it this way. Paying off a credit card with 25% interest is the financial equivalent of getting a 25% guaranteed, risk-free return on investment. Nothing else can promise you that. So you patch that hole immediately.
And this is where we get to the real secret. This is the big one. See, anybody can get rich. The hard part is staying rich. And to do that, you have to make a fundamental shift. You have to stop thinking like someone who spends money and start thinking like someone who grows money.
And here's the golden rule. Don't spend the principal, spend the return. Most people who go bust see a big windfall as just a giant pile of cash to spend. The truly wealthy, they see it as a money tree.
You don't chop the tree down? That's insane. No, you just live off the fruit that grows on it every single year. The tree itself, the principle, you never, ever touch.
So how do you actually do that? Well, you start by figuring out your freedom number. This isn't just some made-up number. It's the magic number. It's the exact amount of money you need to have invested so that the fruit from your money tree is enough to pay for your ideal lifestyle forever, without you ever having to lift a finger again. And figuring it out is actually super simple. First, just decide on your perfect annual income. What would you need to live your best life? Let's say, for example, it's a nice, round $200,000 a year. Okay, great. Now just multiply that by 25. Boom, your freedom number is $5 million. This whole thing is based on what's called the 4% rule, a pretty standard idea that says you can safely take out 4% of your investments each year and, theoretically, never run out of money.
So, you've got your number, $5 million. Now, how do you make that number work for you? You've got to build the machine. You need to build a portfolio that's designed to churn out that income, year after year. So let's look at a sample of what that machine might look like, designed not just to grow, but to last.
So here's one possible blueprint. Check out how diversified this is. We're not putting all our eggs in one basket. We've got $1 million in stock index funds, that's our growth engine. $1 million in bonds for stability. $1 million in real estate for that nice steady cash flow, and another $1 million just sitting in a high-yield savings account for safety and quick access. Then, just for fun, we've got a $500,000 lottery ticket in crypto, a high-risk, high-reward kind of play.
And here's the why for each of those buckets. Stocks are for long-term growth. That's what's going to really build your wealth over time. Bonds are the brakes. They keep things stable when the stock market gets shaky. Real estate gives you both monthly income and the property value goes up. That high-yield savings, that's your rainy day fund, totally safe and easy to get to. And crypto, well, that's your moonshot. Put it all together, and based on what we've seen historically, a portfolio like this could easily spin off over $300,000 a year, way more than the $200,000 you needed.
But hang on a second. If you're doing the math, you might have noticed something. All those pieces, they only add up to $4.5 million, but we started with a freedom number of $5 million. So where's the other $500,000?
Ah, that. That, my friend, is your go-nuts money, your fun money. That's the money you use to buy the ridiculous car, take the dream vacation, get the fancy watch. Because here's the thing. Once you've planted and protected your money tree, that preservation portfolio, you absolutely 100% deserve to enjoy some of that money, guilt-free.
But let's be clear. In the end, don't ever mistake the fun money for the real prize. The Lamborghinis are cool, but that's not what real wealth is. True wealth, it's about freedom. It's about having the power to wake up every single morning and say no to things you don't want to do. It's having complete control over your own time. And trust me, that is the greatest luxury on earth.
So you know what? Forget about winning the lottery for a second. This entire blueprint, it works at any level. The basic principles are exactly the same, whether you're working with $5,000 or $5 million. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have the plan, what is the very first thing you're going to do to start building your own freedom?